Hello, welcome to Celebrate Aging. I'm Sandy Leah with Ecumen Detroit Lakes, and today I have with me some very special guests. Two of my really good buddies, and they both have the same name, by the way, Don and Don, Don Busker and Don Berg. And we also have with another very special guest, and her name is Jane Ballard. And we are all here today to tell you about a very special service that is offered through Ecumen Detroit Lakes. And the service is called Helping Hands. So I think let's begin with Jane. And Jane, maybe you can explain to our audience a little bit about what your connection is with the Helping Hands.
Sure, thank you, Sandy. In May, actually May 16th, I had an accident at home. I fell and fractured my femur. It was a pretty significant episode, of course, and I was told that I would be 3 to 4 months of non-weight bearing, strictly confined to a wheelchair.
And that's got to be pretty scary for someone who is normally up and walking.
It was very scary, and I live alone. And so after my hospitalization, I went to Oak Crossing for transitional care. And through a little problem with my insurance company, it was at my own expense. And so, of course, there was a lot of worry and concern. And anyway, in order to be able to come home, I had to figure out how I was going to get into my house.
Okay, so and I'm sure that you have a deck here I see on your home, and you had steps, but when you're in a wheelchair, it's a little difficult to get the wheelchair up a couple of steps.
Exactly, and I have pretty severe rheumatoid arthritis, and so my general strength isn't all that great sometimes. So anyway, I was able to connect with Sue Sorensen and Sandy, and they worked behind the scenes like the angels that they are, and they got their other angels to work on a ramp for me. And you can see the beautiful ramp, and it made all the difference for me. It gave me some independence. It let me come home, which of course, as you know, is so important when you're trying to heal or anything else. And it's just been wonderful. I can't say enough about this wonderful program. And the best part is, not only does this ramp function and look beautiful, but they did it at no cost to me.
Okay, yes, in fact they did, and I'm going to back up here just a little bit, Jane, but I remember the day Sue called me. It was at the end of the day on a Friday, and we all know how Fridays get. It's like we're packing up, we're ready to, be off for the weekend, and Sue called me and said, Sandy, I have a situation, and she told me all about Jane and what Jane had been through, all the, not only her injury, but the stress that went along with trying to figure out what she was going to do, and then there's costs that accumulate with things like this. So, and she had some other issues too with her health, and so she said, Sandy, can the Helping Hands? Do you think you can talk to the guys and can they help? And I said, well, I think they can. Yes. So I right away called Don Busker, and Don right away on Monday. We came over to Jane's, and Don was willing, and maybe you can tell the folks a little bit, Don, about how that all played out when we met over here, and what you were able to do.
Well, the first step was to review the project and see what materials we need, and then to get estimates from the lumber yard to see what the final costs would be. Well, luckily enough, Sandy called, I think the same day or the next morning, stating that there was a ramp being removed on Lake Avenue and that we could have it. And it was a long lap, and so we were able to take it apart and use portions of it to construct this ramp. It was really a blessing in as much as that the ramp fit here very well. It was the right length, the right height, and the right dimensions for this project. And so that worked out, so we didn't need to buy those costly materials.
Yeah, and you know what? That is something too that I would like to mention to our viewers, is that we were very fortunate that I work with another great gal, Barb Schiller, and Barb had mentioned to me that this residence was disassembling or removing this ramp from their home, and maybe I should check that out. So I did drive over. We were able to get in touch with the owner, and they said, absolutely, you can have it, come get it. So, you know, and when that happens, it's great. And just a reminder to you folks that if you know of people, or if you yourself are reconstructing or doing a remodeling project on your home, and you're maybe tearing out even cabinets or you know, things in the bathroom, fixtures, light fixtures, different things like that, grab bars if you have handicap
Yes.
supplies or materials, we can use those with this group, the Helping Hands. And this is what these guys do. They go into people's homes, like Jane. They help disabled adults, seniors, and even younger persons like Jane, who is, well, right now, somewhat a little bit disabled. But so there really isn't an age either. I think it started out with just helping elderly and seniors, but we have had requests from younger people. And so this is what the Helping Hands does. And we were fortunate, you know, like Jane said, and Don was explaining, to receive this ramp at little, almost no cost.
Yes.
But oftentimes, if people do have a project, we do ask that they buy the materials, purchase the materials, and that our volunteers, the Helping Hands, will assess the project and might be able to help them complete a project in their home. Small jobs, odd jobs, maybe fixing a door, putting weather stripping on a window, and so on and so forth. And so, and we do have funding available, and we also accept donations for this group. So they're called the Helping Hands, Faith in Action, and I believe they began several years ago started with a group of guys from First Lutheran Church. I think Don Busker, in fact, got it going. But we're going to hear from my other buddy here, Don Berg. And now Don is one of the people that you can contact if you have a project or a request to have something done. Correct, Don?
That's correct. And I've been with the Helping Hands now for 11 years, and it's been a real good experience for me.
And what other types of projects have you guys worked on?
Well, we built ramps, of course, and then fixed doors and put in air conditioners and take air conditioners out, and light bulbs, a lot of stair railings, and a lot of handicap bars put in the bathrooms and so forth and so on.
Okay.
It's been a good deal.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Don. And Don keeps track of all the hours, so he makes sure I get those monthly so that we can track those hours and record them. And we like to make sure that we acknowledge our volunteers in the community, not only our Helping Hands, but all the volunteers at Ecumen. And I just want to thank Jane. I know she was a little apprehensive about TV3, but I said, oh, don't worry. I'm not Vicki either. Vicki Marthaler's usually the hostess, but you did a great job, and I want to thank you, Jane.
Well, and I want to thank Sandy and Sue and the people at Ecumen, and of course these angels right here standing in front of you. The whole group, I can't say enough of how wonderful this whole experience has been for me and how blessed I feel. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you, and fellows, thank you for all the work that you do. And I know that if anyone is interested, you can call me. I am the coordinator of this program, Sandy Leah at Ecumen Detroit Lakes, 847-4486, and that's 218 area code. And actually, I have a couple of calls that I need to get back to today for a couple of requests for you guys. So they're staying busy. This is a good time of year to be busy. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today with Celebrate Aging, and all of us with Ecumen Detroit Lakes, and Jane Ballard sharing her home. It's nice to be here. Thank you, Jane. And everyone, just have a great day.